Who is with Vinny Fiorenza? There's a lot he doesn't know. There's a lot he wants to know. This is a podcast where he tries to learn from people who know things he doesn't. He'll be focusing on people from the worlds of business, entertainment, and the arts. His guests are people he finds fascinating and that he believes will bring value to others. Join him on the journey on finding out who is.
Who is Tuesday Thomas? Tuesday Thomas is a comedian, an actress, and someone who has a story that really needs to be told. In this episode, we get into some topics like Tuesday's experiences since transitioning, her comedy show called Tuesday's Trash, her impression of Geraldine Jones, one of Flip Wilson's characters, and some of her wild stories just throughout her life. So please join us on this episode of Who is Tuesday Thomas. Hi, everybody. We're here with Tuesday Thomas, and we're going to learn a lot about her. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let's do this.
You sure they want to learn about me?
I don't know. I think so. I find you fascinating. I think a lot of other people will, too. So to start off, where are you from originally?
I was born in upstate New York, but I lived the majority of my life in New York City, between New York City and Rochester, New York area.
Nice. Oh, so Rochester was the city that you were from?
Yeah, that was upstate.
Yeah.
Well, I was close by. It was a very small town.
Oh, okay.
It's like on the Finger Lakes area. It's like, yeah, very, very small town. I was trying to like count the traffic lights. That's how small it is that I could count the traffic lights. I mean, I don't remember it. I wasn't able to just this second, but you could count the traffic lights in this town.
What was it like growing up in a small town?
Oh, it was hell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was absolute hell. I mean, because you know me, I'm a little bit different. And growing up was just, I didn't fit in. And,
Got it.
Always figure it out.
Has that like kind of influenced you who you are now? Like growing up in that type of small town?
The kind of impact it has because life was so rough for me.
Emotionally or like
physically,
everything across the board?
Everything across the board.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's like I was born, you know, I'm growing up in the late 60s through the 70s in a small town in upstate New York, born male, not understanding what my problem was and knowing that I didn't fit into that assigned thing at birth, but having nothing at the time to tell you what my problem was. There was nothing. I mean, there were things out there, but
you were building the map.
Yeah, I was like out there with a machete, like cutting down the freaking trees and the brush and stuff. So I think what that did for me, a couple things. I think it made me appreciate things more, because I had to fight for them. But I also think it made me extremely empathetic because I was hyper-tuned to everything. You know, when you're hyper-tuned to something, like people walk into the room, and if you've been hyper-tuned, you're going to tune into the person that's problematic as opposed to the joyous person because you're waiting for the shoe to drop. That made me empathetic to people, which in turn made me really root for the underdog in so many ways.
Do you think that comes up a lot in your world, in like the comedy world?
Comedy's interesting.
It's
so interesting because
how do you think
like
about it?
I don't subscribe to there's one way to do it, and so many people are like, you got to get 10,000 hours in, you got to do this, you got to do that, and I'm like, well, that's not true. There's no roadmap to anything in life, and so I just went and found my own. I understood that you need to be at a certain level and have a certain practice or something before you got to where you were going. But I was just like this, bullshit about. That's why I went and did things for my own projects. I was always working on my own projects because if you build it, they'll come. You got to do something for yourself, and you enjoy it. Oh. If you don't enjoy it, what's the point?
Exactly.
So everything I did, I mean, I had that show. I still do occasionally tour it. But, before COVID, I had my show Freak Show, which was 16 cities on rotation, twice a week in Vegas as a residency, and, 8 years going. And I started that because I just found it fun.
When did you start this journey? Like, meaning the comedy side of things?
Well, I went through a lot. I mean, when I was younger, I was always the one, I hosted burlesque and drag shows and did, drag performances, but I was always the one everybody was laughing at. I bartended. And
how old were you in that? Like,
I started, 20.
Got it.
You
Okay,
know?
cool.
I mean, 18. When I was 18, that was the drinking age in New York, and then they changed it up. When I turned 21, it became 21.
Oh, wow.
So, but I was like drinking when I was 14.
Yeah, no, we all
It was true. I mean, I think the first time I did acid, I was 15.
Okay, that's a little different, but I feel that.
I mean, I did coke when it was, you know, it was pure white, and you know, you did a tiny bit of it, and lights got brighter, and bells went off in your
world
ears.
changed.
That was like the real stuff. It wasn't cut with baby laxative and all that stuff. It was real. So yeah, I've been smoking pot at like 12.
No, yeah.
That's because I'm escaping things. I'm self-medicating because of, you know, the way I was brought up. I'm trying to figure this out, you know.
It seems like that might be a common trend in the comedy world. Like, do you have specific people that you, I guess, kind of like early on or now even like emulated, like comedic inspirations?
I mean, I was brought up with like those 70s variety shows like Sonny and Cher and Tony Orlando and Dawn and Carol Burnett and all those shows. And so they always had different comedians on, but I like the older ones, you know. I liked Flip Wilson. He had his own show. He was hilarious to me. And, you know, he did a character called Geraldine Jones, which was him in drag.
Oh, wow.
Do you know who Flip Wilson is?
No,
Flip
I
Wilson's
don't,
African American.
Okay.
He was one of the first to get his own TV show. He's a hilarious comic. Had Carlin on his show and all kinds of stuff going on. I even think he had Lenny Bruce on at one point. Could be mistaken. But he did this character called Geraldine Jones, who he did in drag. And Geraldine was like, you know, very... like, I'm going to tell my boyfriend kill on you, you know, that kind of person. And I remember saying to my mother at like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8. She's like, what do you want to be for Halloween? And I'm like, I want to be Geraldine Jones. And she's
Oh,
like,
my God.
I don't think I can do that, you know, because of the situation. And I'm like, no, I fought it. And finally she's like, okay. So, I mean, this is the only time I'll admit to it, because it was like, you know, 1969 maybe, 68, something like that. So she just put some dark makeup on my face and got me the
Geraldine
blonde wig
Jones.
that Geraldine had and put me in one of my sister's dresses, and I went out trick-or-treating. And I remember just thinking I was it, and calling around to all the people that,
Miss Jones.
yeah, all the people getting candy from, I'd be like, give me your candy. And this one old lady opened the door, and I was with some friends, and she, you know, she did the typical old lady thing. Oh my gosh! Oh, look how scary! You're a skeleton, and oh, you're a Frankenstein, and oh, you're a ghost. And she looked at me and she said, I don't know what you are, but it looks like you fell into a mud puddle, child.
Oh my God. I know, of course. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny.
You know, but so that's what I was attracted to. You know, I was attracted to just the crazy, wild, funny, you know. I think, you know, in comedy, like, though, here's the thing about comedy. You're either a what's the word? I'm trying to think of another word for it. Just escaped me. Like, not a prima donna, but another word for, like, you're sainted. Like, you're a god. You have a god complex, or you have a
So,
victim
like,
complex.
there's people who, like, well, untouchable. Like, what do you mean by
Well,
that? Yeah,
what I mean
don't
by
know.
that,
Yeah.
like, it's not the right word, and the word escaped me. What I mean by that is, like, you're either a person who's been like me, who's been shit on and beat up and thrown out and all the shit that's happened to me. You're one of those people who are a victim. You've had crap happen to you, and so you've gotten through it by finding funny. The other people are the people who have been told, and this is true, I think, in entertainment in general. The other people, and I don't think there's any middle of the road because they never last, the people who are in between this. The other people are people whose parents are like, you can do no wrong, you're perfect, you're sainted, you're one of sainted. You're either a saint or you're a victim. That's the word I want, saint. So it's like, well, like Kanye, he's a saint. He was told his whole life he could do no wrong. And he did, you know, but like, look what happens to the saint people.
Yeah,
When the fall comes,
yeah.
it's huge. Us victims, if we have a fall, we're like, yeah, I've been through this before, brush us off.
Yeah, it's a regular day at the office.
Yeah, pretty much.
But so I know that you've been you're in LA now, and you've been a lot of places before then. Where are some of the places that you stopped off before you decided to
I
be
got
out here. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Tuesday stories. Give us the Wednesday through Friday.
Stalked by an ex-husband.
Oh, jeez.
I got stalked and chased from city to city. I was in San Francisco. I was in Seattle. I was in LA before.
Stalked.
I was in Charleston, South Carolina. I've lived in Atlanta. I had to go back to upstate New York. I had to go, all these places because he kept finding me. So I've been like a lot of places, a lot. And I love LA. I loved LA the first time I was here, but
When was the first time?
well, it was a weird time because it's like I remember voting for Obama for the first time in Studio City. That's my timeline. That's how I know.
Okay.
So that was what, 2007, 2008?
Yeah.
So, and that's also when the writer's strike happened.
True. Yeah.
That's also when reality TV came in, and that's also when all the banks fell.
This is a good
It
timeline
was a
here.
good year, and I
Getting history.
couldn't even find a job as a waitress. So.
It was a tough time.
Then I discovered, I came home to a Post-it note on my door with a little map of the area with the street names on it, and then my address with an X, and he wrote, "Ha ha ha, I found you."
Oh my God!
So I'm like, well, I got to leave here. I kind of like it here.
And this was L.A.
This is LA.
Oh my God! In like 2008 or something.
Yeah.
Or 2000. Oh my God!
Chased me out of Vegas twice, chased me out of Seattle, chased me out of Charleston, South Carolina, because he didn't make it over there, but he found out where I was living, and we'd call out places and get me
Where'd you
fired
two
and stuff.
link up originally?
Well, it was in Vegas.
Oh, in Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas.
What were you doing out there? Was it like
I was
comedy?
living out there. I went there, actually, I went out there, I had a good job offer for bartending, and I thought I'd take my time. I got some money in my pocket. I'll take my time and not go to work right away. And 2 days after, or 1 week after I got there, and I'm still on my vacation, and 2 days from there, I'm supposed to start my job, 9/11 happened, and everything shut down, and they rescinded my job offer, and everything went to hell.
Did you stay there after that? That's
I
crazy.
had nowhere to go, really. At that point, I was
yeah.
there, and I had already bought, spent the money on the apartment. And a week before I left, we went to Windows on the World to have a goodbye dinner.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you do comedy there too? While you were there? No, okay.
I didn't start comedy until I was in San Francisco, which was a few years before I came to LA. This last time, I started to do it
regularly.
I'm specifically stand-up comedy as opposed to
because you've been on stage for a long time now.
Yes.
Yeah. What type of stage routines have you done over the years?
Oh.
Because I know you've been from the beginning. I'm sure
I've done some crazy stuff. I mean, I remember one show I put on in the drag female impersonator performance when I was younger was a dead celebrity night. So I came out as Natalie Wood with all the seaweed and beer bottles tied to it because she drowned, and I did her version of "Let Me Entertain You," and that seaweed was
really
the
fun,
boa, and I was in a bathing suit that had fish hooked to it and stuff.
That's funny.
And then I did Janis Joplin, and I actually came out and pretended to shoot myself up and go into a convulsion and die on stage. I did a piece of my heart. So that's my humor. That's where I was always there.
Yeah.
It was always there, that kind of stuff. I did this thing once where it was that Sinead O'Connor song, "Nothing Compares to You," and it started out with, because it was, answering machines were then happening then. And so it was an answering machine beep went off, and it was this guy who said was my boyfriend. And he said, "I'm sorry, I really love you, but I can't date you anymore. I can't go out with you. I got to break up with you." And he ended the thing, and I went into "Nothing Compares to You," and I ended it with taking a trick knife with blood in it and slitting my throat with blood just pouring down it. And as I lay there dying, the phone rings again, and the message goes off, and it's him going, "Baby, I changed my mind. I can't live without you."
That's a great skit.
So yeah,
Jeez.
I'm twisted.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's why you're here.
Yeah. That's why I'm
want to get a
successful,
little-
I think. It's
Yeah.
because I'm different, you know?
What? So you've done a lot of these different types of shows, like obviously all across the country now. Like, what are some of the favorite shows you've done over the years? Like, so ones that you could reference.
When I was with Freak Show, it's probably some of my favorites because that show I emceed and I would do characters in and as well. But we would have drag queens. Like I remember one drag queen came out and did Madonna's Like a Virgin and actually pulled a bloody baby out of her cooch area that had like a liver attached to it as the afterbirth and like red vines that she chewed on. That was the umbilical cord.
Oh, that's perfect.
And at the end, she what do you call it when you edit it? She edited it in her own voice, going, holding that baby doll, bloody baby doll, going, I think I'll name it Tuesday.
Oh my God.
So we had weird acts like that and stand-up comedy, of course, and then a burlesque and drag and all kind of, as long as it was dark and twisted and weird, and people would come up to me afterwards and just want pictures and just love it. And it just was so popular.
Where was the Freak Show? Was that LA?
That was the one that was 8 years, 16 cities.
God,
We were through the improv
yeah. So
and stuff,
run
yeah.
us through that. Give
Yeah.
us was it the same performance in each city? Like no. Okay, so
We changed
off
up
the cuff.
I used the same performers throughout the runs, but I would mix them up. You know, use local people or bring in my people from LA or whatever. And it was always It was the same format, but it was a different.
But this was
show
your
every
show
time.
you produced? Wow, did you have partners or something in it?
Yeah,
how'd
I
it
had
go?
help with that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I didn't know
I'd
about
come
that
up with it,
exactly.
and yeah, we still do it. Like after COVID, I'm trying to get it back up and running, but it's really difficult. Venues right now are just, they want the tried and true it's funny because during COVID, they were all like, BLM, we need more black people. We need more non-cis white people. We need more trans. We're going to, when we finally get up and running, we're going to be better and we're going to do this. And the minute they get up and running, it's all cis white guys. They're tried and true. They don't want to. It's like, yeah, whatever.
I didn't know what to say to that one.
Well, that's just the way it is. It's like when the improv, and I don't care if I don't ever get booked at the improv. I really don't care about that. I'm at a point in my life where people are going to see my worth, and the ones that matter are going to give me something. But when the improv opened back up, in the first weekend they opened, they had 32 performers, and none of them were women.
Oh, no way. Wow.
And then when called on it, the booker, who is female, said, well, I'm not really sure how to book women. Help me book women. How do I do it? It's like,
What do you mean?
ask us. That's how you do it.
Oh my God! Well, I didn't know that. Yeah. So, as a trans woman, do you feel any responsibility, like, as an artist, like for the trans community? Like, does it go hand in hand? Like, do you feel any specific responsibility?
I don't know what responsibility really means, but I do feel that I have to stand up and show that we're worthy and we can do what other people want. And this whole thing about, I don't know if I could hire a trans woman for this job. You've probably been hiring a trans woman for the job in the past. You just didn't know it. I mean, when I came out with the documentary and said to people that I was doing this over COVID, there were people who I've known for many, many years who said to me, first of all, I did not know that you were trans.
No way. Yeah. That's
second
interesting.
of all, I'm
Not that
on
matter.
board.
What the hell's the difference,
Well, exactly. That was their point. They were like, I've known you for people have known me for many, like I'm talking over a decade. We're like, I did not know. Because, it wasn't like anything that was really talked about a lot. And then COVID hit, and then all these things started coming in. And I was like, I think they need to be more open about that. I didn't realize I was. Here's the problem. When you are something and you've lived with it for so long, you assume everybody understands it like you do.
Yeah, I mean, you're in that world, and like other people are, maybe not even anywhere close to that world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can't fault them for not knowing, of course.
Like I never had a trans friend before I met you, so I
And
never
you
really
might-
met
yeah,
anyone,
but
and I didn't know. I bet you're right.
I know I'm right. I know I'm right because I know people who aren't out that probably you've run into. Yeah. And that's on them. They don't want to be out. That's fine. But, we can do just about everything everybody else can
Of course,
do.
yeah.
It's ridiculous
No
how
shit.
they're like, it's like the comedy thing's like, oh, I'm scared to hire a trans comedian because what are they going to, all they're going to talk about is their dick being cut off. And it's like, no, we live life. And we
of
I
course.
talk about, you know, one of the things in my act I talk about is how much I hate that children on board sign on cars, and when you're driving around the neighborhood, I see slow. You know, I'm like, oh, what do I care about these? I don't know these kids.
Who gives
I didn't fuck without a condom and make these kids happen. It's not my responsibility. Keep them inside. Okay? It's not my. And plus, what have the kids done? They're kids. All they've done is shit and burped and puked. I've lived life. I've contributed to this world.
we need the
I've
Tuesday
marched. I've done things. I've given money to charities. I've made a difference. Why isn't there bumper stickers that say, be careful, old tranny on board?
That's great.
Right? I don't know these kids. What do I got to worry about them for?
Oh, that's amazing. I never heard that one. Yeah, we need the Tuesday stickers. Tuesday on board.
Jeez.
I love it. So, so you're on TikTok. Let's talk about that. You're on TikTok, pretty popular, known as the Trans Ma.
Tranma.
I apologize.
A lot of people say trans mom.
Yeah.
That's
No, but thank you for correcting me, though.
I started that because I was like, I want to like help the younger generation,
Yeah.
and I didn't know anything about TikTok, and I was people like,
Me
you gotta
either.
get on TikTok, so I started that, and it became really popular, and now Justin and I are working on we're developing a comedy series based on that.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So we're going back and forth, you know, with
Very exciting.
setting it
What do
up.
you think? Like, what type of
I'd see kind of like
scripted or non-scripted?
It's scripted.
Oh,
It's a scripted comedy
wow.
series. It's like a half-hour situation comedy we're working on.
Wow.
You know, we're developing it together. We're going back and forth, and
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Justin's great.
Yeah, of course.
God, I
Yeah,
love
Justin
working with
Ross, shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
So
fantastic.
we're working on that as well as, you know, you and Justin are trying to get the documentary out,
Yep.
which I can't thank you enough. Oh
Of
my God, I'm
course.
so indebted. Hopefully that gets out.
Yeah, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we'll get there one step at a time. But you speak with the younger generation pretty frequently on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that. Like, how are there any stories or any like particular people that have reached out that?
There's a lot that want to just know what it's like back then. I mean, there was no. I mean, I'd heard of Christine Jorgensen, you know, who was like technically she wasn't the first, but she was the first one that became well known
Famous,
about
yeah.
going over to Europe and having. She was a GI who went to Europe and had a sex change and came back and was very. Back then, she was very popular, but it was that media that, what do you call it? In early Hollywood where they would have those, you know, like the Enquirer type.
Okay, yeah, I follow.
Yeah, there was a lot of magazines like that back then, but weren't as bad as the Enquirer. The Enquirer was really nasty.
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
were like, you know, oh, this is a weirdo. Let's look at the weirdo type thing. And so she was on talk shows and stuff, but like you couldn't say that. Like, people in where I grew up didn't really know that name. I had heard of it, but anytime I tried to
didn't.
find out more in a library or something, it wasn't there.
Wow.
There was no internet. You couldn't find. I had to go from when I wanted to get hormones and stuff. I had to go from doctor to doctor and have them laugh at me.
No one.
Yeah, and I finally found one who would do it, and he was black market and would charge me all this money, and because you live as a woman and they won't hire you, so you can't get medical insurance, and back then insurance wouldn't pay for it. It was a big catch-22. You really had to fight everything. I remember going to an LGBT center because there's another thing a lot of people don't realize is the T in LGBT, the T was not added till almost the year 2000.
Wow, no, yeah, I didn't.
A lot of people don't know
no.
that. So the T was always like, they always pushed us and was like, well, we'll get to you later. We'll get to you later. I even remember in 2016 that HRA was fighting and trying to push this law, an equal rights law, through. And they said, you know what? It'll make it better if we take out the trans from the law and get it passed, and then we'll come back and we'll fight for your rights later. Are you okay with that? But we were the ones that fought for the rights for the gay people, for the lesbians. We sat through the AIDS epidemic. We were decimated as well. And they kept saying, we'll get to you later. It's not your turn. And so we had to deal with that. I had an LGB center once. I went in there and asked for help, and they're like, "You're an it. We don't know what you are. We have nothing for you."
Oh my God. I couldn't even, yeah.
So the kids don't realize that, and I think it
and
puts
that's
it
a
in
lot of
perspective
the,
for them.
cool.
Like,
okay.
I think they think they're having a hard time, which they are having a hard time. I'm not taking that away. It's not easy now. It's easier now. So I think it gives them a perspective.
And is there any like interaction between you and the people online?
Yeah, they ask the questions, and I do videos to answer it. You know,
Oh, that's pretty cool. Has there been like, you know, say random messages from people that have like affected you in any type of way? Like, I don't know, people that are say thankful for what you do and how you present it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always touched by when somebody I'm always humbled when somebody says you've really helped me, because I don't see myself as that person, because you know, I have this thing in my head from being like the kid who was told you're nothing, you're nobody. I don't care how old you get, that's always going to be there, you know, to some respect.
Yeah.
So it always surprised. It doesn't. I don't think I'm nothing now, so I don't want you to get the wrong idea.
We know you're not.
Right.
So.
I don't think that. But there's always that somewhere there. So when somebody says I can't thank you enough, you're just almost like, wow. Did I really help you? Oh.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much of an
humbled
effect. You know, it's amazing. How does that, you know, make you feel both not only personal, but maybe on a professional level too? Like maybe it has an effect in that realm as well.
I always say, I do the things that I do. Hopefully, people will learn, and hopefully they'll understand that no matter how bad their life is, or what they're going through, and I don't care if you're cis or straight or gay or lesbian or Asian or whoever you are, your problems are your problems, and nobody's problems are bigger than the ones you're going through and you think are bad right now. And I hope that you'll understand you can get through it. If you can watch like the documentary or listen to my stories about the crap that I went through, you can get through it and like understand. I feel that I did not go through all this hell to not make somebody else's life better, because I don't understand those people who are like, well, I had to go through it, so you have to too. That's absolute horseshit to me. I didn't go through what I went through, so I want you not to have to go through it. Even you total strangers out there, I don't want you to have to deal with. Nobody should have to deal with the crap that I went through, ever.
Yeah, you've said a lot to me, and I was like, yeah, I know. I've watched your documentary too, and yeah, we don't need other people going through some of the things that you've experienced.
No.
Speaking of that, the name of your documentary is "The Trash Goes Out on Tuesday," which is a hysterical title. But tell us a little bit about the project and where'd you come up with that title?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I've never had luck with men. I've always been attracted to the bad boys, because that's what my father was, a piece of crap.
Okay.
My real father, my biological father. So that's, you know, what you're attracted to, pretty much. And somebody said, I was complaining to a friend about how my boyfriends always, you know, fuck around on me. They always cheat on me. And he just looked me dead in the eye and he said, the trash always goes out on Tuesday.
Boom.
Boom. He told me right then and there, I'm picking the trash, and that's what's happening. And that's always been in my head.
Oh my God.
And I thought to myself, someday I'm going to use that. And this is what, you know, I've done little comedy shows that I've called Tuesday's Trash. You know, I did a self-produced comedy show on the roof of the bodega next to my building, and it's on Amazon Prime. I called that
great.
Tuesday's Trash.
That's
so you can go on
awesome.
Amazon Prime, and for $1
awesome.
you can watch it.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
It's a weird. Yeah, it's like done at 2 a.m. after the bodega closed, so they couldn't kick us off.
That's great.
It was done on a foggy night during the pandemic. I made everybody wear masks, but not the mask here. I made them wear weird animal half masks from the nose up.
The complete opposite. That's fucking awesome.
Weird. I had on the back wall, I had these huge giant pieces of underwear and bras that were dirty that were hanging. It was just like I embraced the whole trash theme and did it.
A lot of trash around. That's good.
So that's kind of my brand, is finding it's finding the beauty in the trash. You know, you're taking all the trash that is your life and making it into something beautiful. Because one man's trash is another person's treasure, you know.
It's a big fact. I watched a documentary, and I'm, you know, I was moved by it because this is a world that I'm not in whatsoever, and like you kind of introduced me to this world, so it's pretty interesting. Why does this documentary need to be shared with the world?
I think it needs to be out there because people need to realize what trans people go through, and also, as I said before, that no matter what you go through, I want to give people a beacon of hope that they can get through it and they can survive. You deserve, every single one of us, I don't care what you are, what you identify as, who you are, you deserve space. You deserve to breathe the air. You deserve to be here. You don't have to like me because I'm trans. You don't have to respect me for my trans. Because I'm trans, but I deserve to be here just as much as you do. And, you know, we'll stay away from each other if that's the case. I'm okay with that. But you can't, especially with all the laws going on right now, you can't legislate me out. I mean, Tennessee just passed. People don't understand what the Tennessee law that just passed is inclusive of. They said they banned drag as public performance. And everybody's like, okay, well, so you can't be outside doing drag. It's like, no, there's a little more to that. There's nuances in there. You can't bag. Technically, a bar is a public place. Eventually, they could ban it from being in the bars. But they ban drag as a public performance. That means they're banning cross-dressing in public, which means that if they knew that I was born male, they could technically say I'm cross-dressing and I can't be in public. The first offense is a misdemeanor where they write you a ticket. The second offense is a felony. If you commit a felony twice, you're going to jail. They have basically just outlawed trans people under everybody's eyes in Tennessee right now. And everybody's like, oh, it's okay. Drag can be inside. People don't stop and think about the actual nuances of these laws they're passing. And they're passing them hoping that people aren't reading into them, and they're knowing exactly what they're doing in the long run.
Well, I'm really happy you are able to, you know, spread this message and, you know, explain to people who don't understand from that world, to give a little bit of insight. I'm just going to switch it up a little bit and ask some, like, say, quicker questions.
Okay.
We'll get
rapid fire?
Yeah, give it to, you know, I don't know. Favorite music artist?
My God.
All right, you know.
My God, there's so many. Maxwell. That's
Okay.
just off the top of my head.
That's
I love
cool.
Maxwell. I don't know if he's my favorite, but
yeah, but
God,
okay.
just
That's
right off the top of
that's
my
where you
head.
lean towards. So, do you use the snooze button?
Oh, I don't use an alarm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, I have
What are you,
this
all
thing in my head.
natural?
I have this
Oh.
thing in my head where I say I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm up at 5 or 8 in the morning. I'm up at 8. I've always been able to do that.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, so you growing up in Rochester, or near it, I should say. Do you have a favorite season?
LA, because there is none. Because
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that.
every season.
Say,
Yeah, every
except
season.
today it was crazy.
Every
today.
season leads to winter, and I hate winter. I said to Vinny when I
I'm
came
the
up,
same.
I said I drove here and I said I saw snow. I don't like to see snow.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast food at dinner.
Wow, there we go. That was a strong answer. So this is gonna be a tough one, but top 3 comedians.
I mean, Robin Williams has to be up there.
Okay.
I think Red Skeleton.
Okay.
He's an oldie.
Yeah.
I think, and of course Joan Rivers, just because she works so hard and she was so off the top of her head all the time.
Those are all great answers. So this was our great conversation with Tuesday Thomas. I'm really, really grateful that we were able to spend this time together. Where could all the people find you? I know we mentioned Tranma on TikTok, but are there any other nice places where people can find you?
Well, I don't know how nice they are.
Yeah.
But there's Facebook. There's Facebook, Tuesday Thomas Comedian. There's at Mama, MOMMA, Warned Me on Instagram. Tranma, you can look up Freak Show LA. I also do this comedy church thing. I run a 501c3 charity that's been the U.S. government recognizes as a religion that worships laughter. There is no God, Jesus. We worship laughter. And the IRS and the U.S. government recognizes I'm the only religion of laughter there is. And I'm starting to run comedy church, where I have comedians of disenfranchised groups come and we raise money for disenfranchised youth.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Glad to know that. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, there's a story about that one. The IRS called me up. Do you have time for that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the IRS, like when I was doing this over COVID and I was applying for the 501c3 and I was applying for the religious exemptions and stuff to become a religion, I didn't hear anything from the IRS for a while. And all of a sudden I got a phone call and they were like, hello, is this Tuesday Thomas? I'm like, yes, it is. They're like, this is the IRS. And I'm like, fuck, I'm screwed. They're like, we're calling about your application for the religious organization, Church at Freak Show. And I'm like, yes. And at this point, my phone's in my hand and I'm walking towards, I have floor to ceiling windows on the second floor. And I'm walking towards the front thinking, there's men in black coming to my door. So I'm walking there and the woman says, we have a few questions for you. And I'm at the window and I don't see the men in black. And I'm like, well, they're around the corner. Get ready, I'm being taken away. So I said, okay. She goes, what's your address? I'm like, oh, they can't find my apartment. Well, they got me. I might as well give the address. They're going to find me anyway. So I gave her my address and I'm standing in that window expecting the cars to pull up and take me away. And she says, okay, that's all. We just couldn't read your handwriting. You'll have your okay in a week.
That is hysterical. So
I swear to God, I was like resigned the fact that I'm going to jail or something.
I'm so happy we included that one. But thank you so much, Tuesday. This was freaking awesome.
Anything for you, Vinny.
Yeah, likewise. What's called appreciate it. But yeah, we'll take it. I don't know. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.